Andy Biggs is with us, Republican from Arizona. Andy, the Democrats, I think they're using the crisis, using the virus and politicizing it. What say you?
I think you're exactly right. I mean, these folks don't give CDC credit for what they're doing. They don't give the president credit for the transparency he's engaged in this process. But also, I mean, they will use anything to kind of sully the reputation of the president. And frankly, many of them would like to see a recession. They'd like to see a reduction in the success that we've seen in the stock market. And they want to do that so they can say he's failed. But the reality is, this is coming from China. China is a communist nation, and it's not been truthful. These folks haven't been truthful. And I think that the Democrats are trying to exploit this for political purposes, and that's really, in some ways, it's unfortunate when what we really need to be doing is making sure that we're ready and making sure that this president and the American people can be rest assured that we're together and we're united on this.
All right, hold on a second, Andy. Liz Peek still here. I know you're just chomping at the bit to get to this. Go.
I am so offended by Chuck Schumer in particular politicizing what should be an event or a situation that brings this country together. Chuck Schumer was on the floor of the Senate yesterday railing about the president asking for $2.5 billion because the number should be 3.1. Really? Come on. I mean, that's going to make the difference between having some problem in our country and not. I thought it was absolutely appalling. And I mean, Andy Biggs is totally right. All the news networks are trying to make this the scariest, most horrible thing that's ever happened to the United States. Remember, the only cases so far we have imported, and the president was very early to restrict travel into the United States and to protect America. So, you know, I mean, honestly, we should all be trying to figure out what works, what needs to be done, not taking pot shots.
Andy Biggs, the president holds a news conference. I'm not sure exactly what. It's at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight. I'm not sure what format it's going to be, press conference or statement, I don't know. But what would you like to hear from the president?
Well, I think that he should reassure the American people that he's got his best people working on this, that we're organized, that we are united, that he has taken steps such as Liz pointed out, travel restrictions, which, by the way, Democrats typically oppose travel restrictions, apparently, but really to make this point that we are ready and we're taking steps. I will just tell you something else too, and I talked to medical personnel last couple weeks, and I said, look, what's the deal here? And they said, well, one thing we know for certain is that America is better at treating viruses than China, and so we may not be perfected, but we are really way ahead of most other nations. We spend more than most other nations, including the EU, on medical research. We're working on this now, and I think he needs to give that calm reassurance to the United States.
Andy, you're from a border state, and it occurs to me that what about people coming across the border from Mexico into the United States? Are we doing any kind of checks? Because we do check at the airports if someone's come on a flight that's been anywhere near a hotspot. Any checks at the border that you know of, and do you think we should have?
Well, we do check. I mean, so if we're taking somebody into custody, one of the things they do is they actually do a medical check, a medical survey. In my opinion, it's not as extensive as it should be. But if there's any sign or symptom, and that's the problem with the coronavirus, you have 2 weeks of incubation, but if there's any sign or symptom, then they will actually take steps to try to correct that medical.
But what about legal crossings? I mean, the people coming in legally, perfectly okay, constantly, are they checked? I mean, do we have somebody checking their temperature, that kind of thing?
Not that I'm aware of. That's a problem. I mean, Stuart, we have border crossings, some of them where you have 20, 30, 40,000 people entering every day. And I'm not sure that we're doing enough there. So we've got a lot of places that we have holes in our system, but we can correct those holes. But I mean, this notion that we're going to halt the president's request for $2.5 billion because you want an additional $600 million is really silly.